Tonight on Seeing Crime. Lady Zelda Kelly welcomes DJ in Boston Bow from Calling All Beings, UFOs, Bigfoot, unsolved crimes, and possibly a ghost with opinions. Buckle up, it's going to get delightfully strange. Here we go.
Hello, my darlings. Tonight is the night, and I am so excited to bring you our friends from Calling All Beings. I mean, could you wait? I could hardly wait. In fact, I could hardly sleep last night because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have my friends coming on. And it's like, yay. So without further ado, I want to let you know that I will be, my darlings, reading your super chats during the live and then taking care of other business after. And we have these beautiful people for about an hour. We're going to make the most of it. And please be careful of the little words in the chat. Without further ado, we're going to bring them on. Here they are. Welcome, DJ, and welcome, Boston Bear.
Hello, hello.
Hi there. Hello, Governor. Hello, lady. How are you? Hello.
How are you? Thank you so much for inviting us over here.
I'm doing so well, thank you. And it's so good to see your smiling faces. Thank you so much for coming on and being here. How are you? What's new? What's the latest? How's the house move? How's Boston? Fill us in because we're here for the tea. So let us know, my darlings, what's happening.
Go ahead, take it away, DJ.
Yeah, so the move apparently is coming up a little bit later. It's going to be mid-month, so about 2 weeks from tomorrow or so, or 2 weeks from Friday. So yeah, I had to rearrange the mover, so that's happening. So all the stress is about to start. I'm not going to do a lot of shows until after the move, make sure the internet is good to go, and then we'll resume partying on air.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you. That's always, it's moving is awful stressful sometimes, but it's so worth it in the end, isn't it? Oh my goodness. What about you, my darling, beautiful, gorgeous girl from Boston? How are you with a fantastic, does she not have $1 million smile? My heck. So how are you? How are things with you? Doing
good,
well?
Good. Life after the trial it's just never a dull moment. So I have been obviously keeping up with all things post Karen Reed. As you know, we got into the Amy Bradley story as a result of starting a conversation with Turtle Boy on our show, which we started talking about vacations, and that stirred up the Amy Bradley case. I hadn't at that point heard about it. I deep dove, and probably I'm still diving into the Amy Bradley story. And again, such a sad case, and just kind of keeping up. As I don't know did you see the latest filing today in the post Karen Reed drama?
I did a motion to withdraw.
A motion to withdraw,
With,
correct? Yep. Yep.
withdraw. Does no one up there proofread or do any of those
Well,
things?
not for
I
Hinky.
mean, oh my heck, these people, what, and I have never in my life heard that they need permission from the court to go get, after someone is acquitted, just go get your stuff. Who cares? But
Right.
now they want to file a motion. What is that? That's
I
just,
know. I
it's,
do have to tell you, I reached out to Attorney Tepper. I was just with him on Monday night at
yes.
one of the local fundraisers that we're having. And I asked him, I said, is this normal practice for attorneys to file motion to withdraw once a case is over? Or does this only happen in Karen Reed, was my question. I said, she was acquitted. Why would Brennan need to file this? So he said, his response back to me was, so if there's post-trial motions being filed, then yes, it would require would be required standard practice, as if he doesn't file that, the court would still recognize him as the opposing counsel. I said, do you think this has to do with her asking for her phones and Lexus back? And he's like, yep. So now today he's filing this saying, he's trying to,
Wash my hands of it.
yes, he said this is Hank's way of protecting himself, now saying he was only temporary hire and moving forward he does not represent the Commonwealth. So as soon as I saw it, I reached out to Adam Tepper, excuse me, to find out. I'm like, tell me, is it me or does this only happen in this case?
What a mess. I mean, continuing to badger this poor woman. I mean, but there's always this calm before the storm. And I've got to tell you that, well, first of all, last Saturday night, we did a special on Where is Amy Bradley? I don't know if you saw it or not.
I did, yes.
And for all of you who would like to join our beautiful Bia, she is on X, and I saw where she is working with the brother in the website and so forth of Amy Bradley. And that, if you want to go over there and see what it is that you can do, you're more than welcome to go. And I think that that's a wonderful cause. There's so many things going on behind the scenes, and there's so many things that people aren't telling.
Yes.
It's one of those odd little cases, one of those odd little things, number one. Number two, did you see where the dentist in Colorado today, the one that gave his wife the cyanide, was sentenced to life in prison today without the possibility of parole? Bravo, somebody got it right. And I did not know this, and I found this out today, which is frightening about this guy. While he has been in custody, he tried to arrange the unaliving of one of the investigators.
Oh, I don't think I knew that one. Wow, that's gutsy. Gutsy.
It's either really gutsy or really dumb, and it might be a little bit of both. Unbelievable. Just craziness. So what do you think about all this, DJ? What's going on? What are you thinking about all this?
So I have not seen that case, so I have to confess on that. The Amy Bradley case, I did do a deep dive on there, and I'm kind of waiting to see if we can get Brad and go over a few things, and then just be happy to bring attention to it. I've been kind of I threw another case at Bia that was a missing 411 from Switzerland that I really liked, that was really difficult to figure out. So that's kind of the latest one. I think last time you were in the chat, we were playing some of missing 411. So it was another one.
Maybe.
Were you? Maybe not.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because on your last live, I went in and I saw that you were going to talk about Amy,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I was going to do the show, and I didn't want to hear any of the details because I wanted to approach it as fresh, see what came up, see, all of that stuff and what it is that we could do. So, I like that. The 411 files, that is really something very interesting.
It was a kid in Switzerland, graduated from Newcastle University. He had gone to a school kind of like Eton, like where Tony Blair went. So what we would call a private school, they call a public school. I'm not going to go into it. The Brits that are in the audience know what I'm talking about now. But basically, in American parlance, it was an exclusive private school. Graduated from Newcastle with a degree in finance and something else. So his family had gone for 15 seasons in a row to Switzerland to ski, to the same resort in Wengen, Switzerland. So he had gone the previous summer to teach soccer in Ghana. So he was a really good kid. And essentially he left. They went to dinner, and when they're at the bar, it's around 1:50. I want to say it was 1:55 in the morning, something like that. And a girl says, "Hey, can you walk me home?" So he says, "Yeah." And he walks her back to her hotel, and he leaves her hotel room somewhere around 2 something in the morning. I can't remember the exact time.
Yep.
But he was only
2:57.
he was only there about 25 minutes, 2:56, something like that. So his hotel room is 200 yards from her hotel room. So somewhere he goes missing. They see him on camera leaving her hotel. He walks off and he's gone. The family, obviously engages the police, and there is a search, but they are not happy with the level of attention that the family is giving to this search. So they hire a lawyer, a Swiss lawyer, and he puts pressure on them, and it's right around Christmas. So they have a press conference. So now there's a lot more pressure on the Swiss police to find this young man, right? So 5 days later, they also, I forgot to mention, they hire their own search team to go and look for him. So 5 days later, he's found at the bottom of a cliff on rocks, and he is found with a lot of broken bones. He is found with one shoe nearby and no socks. So essentially, Bia and I went to figure out what happened, because Dave Pilates said that if you were to hike to this spot where he had in this other town, this other village, if you will, it would take 5 hours. And so I went on Reddit, we did a deep dive, and it showed, and people said, "Oh, Pilates is lying. It doesn't take 5 hours. It's very close. There's a lookout, and he could have gone to this lookout and fell off the cliff." Well, it turns out when you do the Google Maps, hiking, walking, it does take 5 hours because of the cliff, because you have to go around the terrain to get to this other village. Otherwise, you would have to jump off the cliff, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, long story short, the police said, "Oh, he had 1.6 or 0.16 blood alcohol level, and he had a drug in his system." Are you Googling this now, Bia, with that drug? Because I can't remember the drug that was in there that they called the death drug.
Okay.
So I can't explain how someone falls off a cliff and doesn't have their socks. So the police essentially said that he walked to a lookout point, which they gave a name to. So I was able to Google the lookout point. Below that lookout point is a very steep slope into the woods. And so you would have to go through the woods down this steep slope, and where those woods terminate, that's where the cliff is. Okay? And so they're asserting that he was probably texting and fell off the cliff.
Oh, wow.
And his mother said that my son is not into hiking, and he's not someone who's prone to adventure. So I can't imagine this kid. Now, there's another bit of it as well. He owns a BlackBerry phone. So picture 2009 now. Picture you're in that realm of the iPhone 3, iPhone 4 era, okay? And if you drop the BlackBerry hard, it will call the first person on the list. By the way, for those of you who want to Google this, the young man's name is Jonathan Miles Robinson. And he went missing and was found dead in Wengen, Wengen, Switzerland. Okay? So, the call from his phone was roughly 35 minutes from when he left the girl's hotel room. So they're saying that he went over, probably in going out clothing, to this lookout, then went down through a woods that they wouldn't send searchers through at night. That's according to the police, that it was too dangerous. Through those woods, then fell off the cliff because he was texting. And it is inconsistent with everything that the family said about this kid, this big 6'5" soccer player from Newcastle University, recently graduated. So, after reading the Reddit, I'm kind of leaning towards Polites and thinking that something happened, because even if you were to fall off a cliff, I could see your shoes coming off. Don't see your socks coming off.
No.
Not seeing that. Well, maybe he had hypothermia, and when people have hypothermia, well, first of all, okay, that's possible. People have taken off their shoes or felt when they have hypothermia. But there's a whole set of circumstances that go beyond that require him to first go to that lookout and then go down through a set of woods at night that the police said they wouldn't send professional searchers down that route to look for him. So I feel like something happened, something perhaps supernatural, perhaps something UFO-ish. I don't know. I don't know what happened to him, but I don't buy the police, what they said. And the conversation we had the other day was that we have a tendency to think, okay, the Boston police here in Boston PD and in Canton and in Mass State Police are dishonest. But, these Swiss police, they're probably, you know what? They may have, first of all, it's a vacation town. It is a ski town, and they do not want this specter of someone got murdered or something untoward happened in their village. And
Absolutely.
Do I think, to finish this off, do I think it's beyond them to possibly inject something into that body or say that they found a drug in his bloodstream? I don't think that's beyond a police force that's looking to give an answer, to blame, to put it on the kid that he had. Oh, maybe somebody spiked his drink. Yeah. You could see guys in the bar always spiking 6'5" guys' drinks to try to take them home. Yeah, that happens all the time. Date, rape, drugs. So anyway, there you have it.
Wow.
Jonathan Miles Robinson, 2009, Wengen, Switzerland, found dead.
We are going to be looking into that. That is really interesting. Someone the other day said, do you look into international cases? And I said, you know what? If we really got into everything that really needed, we would be 24 hours, 7 days a week, 24 hours. There's so many things.
Right.
And I have somebody, I get probably 100 emails a week of people. Hey, I've got this case. Hey, I know this case. There's this, and I just can't, you have to draw the line, and you have to start saying, here's what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, because otherwise you wear yourself thin and you can't do justice for even the case.
But Polites is bringing cases that are in a way inexplicable. And that what makes he's not just bringing you missing people or people that were found dead somewhere, but in very, very mysterious ways. I turned around, we're hiking, we're on a trail. I turned around, that person's gone, and nothing is ever found. And there are certain things that people carry on them when they go hiking. Those frame backpacks, they're going to last forever. When someone was carrying, had cross-country skis, they last forever. Your rifle. If someone has rubber boots, Sorel boots, would be there years after you died, and there was nothing but skeletons inside them. So Gore-Tex jackets is another thing. I heard a Bigfoot narrative once of where a hunter was hunting by himself in Montana and saw a thicket, and with he's out there elk hunting, and he went underneath the briars into what he saw was a kill zone. So essentially what he saw there were stacks and stacks and piles of bones where some predator had left bones. One of those happened to have been a torso without the bottom attached in a Gore-Tex jacket. And inside the pocket of that Gore-Tex jacket was a business card. And he got that business card out, and he beat feet, and that was the end of his hunting, because he planned to stay to, I can't remember what his plan was to stay out there. He immediately made a beeline back to his vehicle.
Wow.
And he turned that card into the sheriff's and never heard a word from him. And he believes that it was likely, I'd say this, but likely a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot type of a setup, because a bear doesn't make a den where it brings its prey back to. A bear will kill you and eat you right where it finds you.
That's right. That's right.
Deer bones and other types of animal bones there, and there happened to have been a human skeleton there.
This reminds me of a story that I told my son about, and it's the Great Smoky Mountains. And the Great Smoky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, all that, and the Norton Creek where they have the witch, and all the spiny nails witch and all this other stuff. But when I was 9 years old, my family would always take vacations. I lived in Ohio. We would go down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, take a vacation. It was in June, and you know the drill. And we were coming out of Gatlinburg and going up through the national park because we wanted to go over the mountain to Cherokee. And all of a sudden,
North Carolina, right?
Yes, Cherokee, North Carolina. Yep. That's correct. And all of a sudden, we see all of these cards lined up. I mean, forever alongside the road where you could hardly get through. And we knew it wasn't a bear. This was not the bear thing. And so there were some rangers that were standing out, and my dad and grandpa got out of the car. They went up to this ranger, and they came back. I mean, they were, their faces were like, and they didn't want to say anything in front of my sister and I. It wasn't until later that we stopped somewhere, and my dad and grandpa got mom and grandma to the side and told them what was going on. There was a grandfather, a father, and a little boy that was about 8 years old, I think, not somewhere around in that age. I knew he was around my age. And they were camping in the Great Smoky Mountains, and the grandfather and the father, they said they were not 20 feet from the campsite. They just went to gather some twigs or something. They heard that infamous yell, and through the forest that you hear, like the Bigfoot yell, right? They heard this infamous yell, and they turned around and they saw this huge big thing have this little boy over his shoulder and took off. And they tried to catch it. The little boy was screaming. They tried to catch it. And people were out just combing those woods. And the park ranger said, look, this isn't the first time and it won't be the last. And we warn these people, there are caverns and caves here that nobody even knows exist. And I hate to say it, but we feel that little boy is going to be gone forever. We don't know what got him, but we know it's not a bear, because no bear walks upright like that with a child over their shoulder walking away. And you could see the mother by the road. She was just devastated. My mom was crying. It was horrific. And my dad said, let's turn around. let's not go over the mountain. Let's go back to Gatlinburg. And they tried to do things to, keep our mind off of it, but I will never forget it. In fact, if you do a little deep dive, you can see now the age may be, I'm thinking it was right around 1968, 69, something like that. But it was that and honestly, it was one of those things too that, when a park ranger says, you better be careful around here. We've got that stuff all the time. You better be careful. That stuff will come out at night. And you just have to think. And of course, then there's the Skinwalkers. Then there's the, we could just go on, right? And of course, right around Newport, Tennessee is one of the biggest places that you can see UFO sightings. That they come through in there. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because I don't think there's too much that's special about Newport that would put that, except it's a little country town. But I don't know. I've gone there a few times and I've seen some things that you just can't explain. Like the darting and, like this guy right here, the little, whatever. And it's, you have to stop and think, what is here in this world that we don't even really think about, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
And I got two things for you.
Sorry.
I got two things for you. One, I put in the chat, and I'm going to answer Patty Murphy's question. She doesn't understand what a skinwalker is. I'm going to explain that. But before I do, I put in the story from 2019 of Casey Hathaway, North Carolina boy who wandered off of his family's property. And when he was recovered, it was freezing nights in North Carolina. And she said a friendly bear kept me company for 2.5 days and returned him back home. So everybody and actually I heard last night on Sasquatch Chronicles, a Minnesota boy who went, and he's an adult now with his own family, but he was in the muck of a Minnesota swamp, and a female Bigfoot came and grabbed the back of his jacket and lifted him up because when you get the suction, when you get your boot deep down in the muck,
yes.
and he was in that situation. Well, this boy, Casey Hathaway, was returned and said to police and to the media, a bear took care of me for 2 days when he was missing, and then returned him back to close to his property where he could see his house. And we all know that a bear is just not going to do that. A bear, if it's is going to eat you, and you are prey. But a Bigfoot would do that because they're very much similar to us. And I'm not saying that Bigfoot haven't abducted people. I'm not saying they haven't hurt people. In fact, there's a very famous story about a Dutchman that was abducted by a Bigfoot in Canada that I won't go into now. So I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but more often than not, I've heard about kids getting hurt in the woods and having a Bigfoot help them out. I've heard a number of these things. So that story's in the chat. In fact, I'll stick it right here in case you guys want to see it. Casey Hathaway. And now, Skinwalker. Patty Murphy, welcome to Lady Zelda Kelly, for Christ's sakes. All right, so what we want to... And yeah, 5 memberships from, I don't know how to say that name, but...
Miss Jewel, Florida, we got 5 memberships. Thank you so much for your generosity, my darling. Thank you. Thank you. She is a foundation of this channel and so adorable. We thank her so much. Anyway, back to you, but I have a question before you go into the next story. Is that the same little boy that was returned with different clothing on?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
All right, because there's a story about that. Okay.
Yeah, I might have to Reddit that one, but not that I'm aware of. He came back. The thing was he needed to be kept warm, and he needed to find he wandered off, and he needed to find his way back to where his family could find him. And I think he was dropped off within 100 yards of his house or something like that, very close to where the creature let him go. So anyway,
amazing.
Casey Hathaway. Skinwalker. And for this one, I might use Russian accent I'm working on lately because I need to diversify and cannot use same accent for every show. Okay, so for this one, Skinwalker. So think, obviously, it's a Native American thing. Everybody knows Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, about the ranch in the Uinta Basin in Utah, owned now by Brandon Fugel, formerly owned by the government. The government was actually doing paranormal study there because of, they actually even found a dire wolf. They found on the property, I just heard Brandon Fugel talking about this. They found in a creek the bones of a dead wolf, and the jawbone was consistent with a dire wolf, which have been dead for, I don't know, thousands of years, not even hundreds of years, thousands. And so this appeared to be a hybrid between a dire wolf and a sort of like a timber wolf, if you will. So anyway, a Skinwalker is a Native American person that it essentially, think about someone who sells their soul to the devil. Think about the devil doesn't exist in Native American culture. Oh, DJ needs to turn the damn volume up because ain't nobody can hear him. Can you guys
Can't
hear me?
hear
Okay?
you, brother. Can't hear you, brother.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear. It's better now.
B is
It's
like, I
better
can
now.
hear you too much. Shut the hell up. Anyway,
Seriously.
okay. So, so a Skinwalker, essentially, because they don't have the devil in their culture, but it's someone who sells their soul to their version of the devil to be able to transform themselves into other creatures. Some of them will look like a wolf on 2 feet, you know, if it were standing up. We had the paranormal rain. This is before Zelda, long before Zelda became aware of us. We had the paranormal rangers on our show, Jonathan Dover and Stan Milford Jr. And those guys, Stan Milford Jr. told us that one night his father allowed him to, living on the res, his father allowed him to take his car out, and he had a Skinwalker running beside the car at 55 miles an hour. And he flipped a U-turn, turned around, and went home. So, right? Like, terrifying. So essentially that's what a Skinwalker is. It's a Native American person that sells their soul to whatever their version of the devil is, to be able to have some sort of immortality and to be able to shapeshift into different creatures. And extremely you won't hear Native American people. They say don't even want to talk about it. So that's what I can tell you about what a Skinwalker is.
My experience has been and it was in the Great Smoky Mountains, Appalachia, in a cabin. And you're supposed to draw your shades down at night, and you need to do that. And I believe in that. And this one night I didn't get there fast enough. And I was pulling the shade, and I heard someone calling my name that was my voice. Zelda, come out here. Zelda.
Little people?
Pardon?
Little people?
No, I think it was Skinwalkers.
Oh my God.
And
wow.
I pulled the shade because, you don't look at them. You don't respond. I pulled the shade, and within seconds on the front porch, bang, 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 bang. I have chills right now thinking about it.
Oh my God.
Bang, 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 and moving the doorknob, click, 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 trying to get in. Zelda, my voice. And then shifted to my son's voice. Mom, it's me. Mom. And I knew it wasn't him because he wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
And I had just gotten off the phone. I'm going to tell you, that freaked me out. I mean, listen, that scared me, and I'm fearless about this stuff. And that stuff scared me. Boy, I put chairs, I moved everything up against those, the doorways.
Totally.
Because it was, and then it would go away. And then probably about another hour and a half, it would come back. Bang, 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 bang. Work, and you could hear it going around the house. It's me. Let me in, Mom. It's me.
God.
Let me in.
Wow.
And the only thing that I can say about this is that there's that frequency that you give off when you know that when you're a transmitter or receiver. And I think that that's kind of this, because when I got out of the car to go to this cabin, and it used to be that I would do that, just like take 2 nights and just disappear, veg, get a cabin in the woods, have my food, not write, read, do what I needed to do, make a plan, recharge my batteries. Oh, you can believe my batteries weren't charged that night. I mean, I was like, and I was sitting in the dark because I didn't want to see what was coming. If you want to know the truth, I just didn't want to see it. And I didn't want it to see me either. But I knew something was off when I got out of the car that night. And it wasn't quite dusk yet. And I thought, oh, this just feels so creepy around here. And I thought, well, maybe I'm feeling a bear, because, the bears come up on the cabins, people leave their food out. And I'm thinking, and then I'm sitting there reading by the fireplace. It wasn't really cold out, but I built the fire anyway. And,
man. It's the fireplace there. We're having a fire.
It's 108 degrees out, but build that bloody fire, buddy. Get on it. get. And so I built the fire. I'm sitting there, reading. I'll never forget, I was reading Pride and Prejudice. I always read, and I know what time it was, because every year I read Pride and Prejudice in October. In November, I read Gone with the Wind. And December, I read Wuthering Heights, the hard books, not the iPad, not, whatever. So I'm sitting there reading Pride and Prejudice. And I'm sitting there, because quite frankly, Mr. Darcy has ruined the dating lives of many of us, right? So...
Mr. Darcy!
Mr. Darcy! Oh, my. Mr. Darcy, come to my rescue, Mr. Darcy.
Can't be bothered.
So, I love that. So,
Me too.
but anyway, and then all of a sudden, I hear this faint voice, Zelda. And I thought, am I cracking up? And I thought, well, that can't be.
It's
I
Elizabeth
didn't have
Bennet.
a radio on.
No, I'm just
Pardon?
kidding. It's
What was
Elizabeth
that?
Bennet.
Yeah. It was Elizabeth Bennet.
Elizabeth Bennet.
So, yeah, hello. And so I just am like, and I read probably close to 40 books a year. So I'm constantly reading at night. I read. And I don't read junk. I don't read the junk. It's classical literature and all that other stuff that I love to read. And, there's some anatomy of a love and, all these other stuff that kind of have this, a little bit of horror and romance binge, type stuff. But anyway, there was no romance that night because I was by myself. And the moment that I started hearing this and I heard this, and it wasn't walking, it was like a scurrying up on my porch. And you can't just peek out, because if you peek out, but mimic, skinwalker, whatever it was, I ain't going back. I can tell you that.
Could you call for help or anything, or you just didn't want to go there?
No, I didn't even want to go there because I was so far out, and plus my phone was spotty where I was because I was in the mountains. And it was one of those things that I thought, should I call the police? What are they going to do? They'll bring a jacket, as in, a white jacket for me. If I keep saying, what, I'm hearing a voice and it's my own. And what are you going to do? And I thought, well, I can always say somebody is, you go through these scenarios in your mind and you're thinking, what could I have done? And I just stayed quiet. I was a mouse that night. I stayed quiet and it just kept it up all night. And then finally just went away. And believe me, the moment the sun was out, I got one of those sharp things out of the kitchen drawer, and I got my bag and I made sure that I had everything. I shut that door, and I'm going to tell you, I haven't moved so fast since 1978, baby. I was out of that cabin, and I was like, horse make tracks, buddy. I was gone,
I
and you
want.
can bet.
You might have been little people. I mean, I've heard things about that, especially in the LBL. You know, the land between the lakes, which is like Kentucky. I don't know if it straddles Tennessee and Kentucky, but I have heard. Jules, weigh in on that But I've heard little people will do that. Will use those voices. I've heard of Bigfoot doing children laughing as well. But that is terrifyingly scary. And I would
It
have
is.
done the exact same thing that you did. Same thing that you did.
Well, I was thinking maybe it's not, maybe it was a mimic. Maybe, I kept going through and I kept thinking, okay, I'm supposed to be the educated one here. Let's not let fear get to me where I can't think, because I don't want to be that woman in the B movie where you look at her and go, fool, what are you doing?
You're
Don't
outside.
open the door.
You're like,
Yeah.
hey, is anyone out there? And then next thing, yeah.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah.
Hello. So anyway, and you can bet I didn't go back. And anytime I wanted to do that in the future, I just rented a really nice penthouse type hotel room in downtown Gatlinburg where I felt safe. And that's exactly what I did. No more mimics, no more any of that.
Cabin in the woods.
No more
remote.
cabin in the woods. Hello, I could have read. And see, I've got stories like that are unbelievable, crazy, unbelievable. But I have a question that is not Bigfoot related, and since you are the UFO aficionado, you know probably what's coming. What do you think about What do you think about the thoughts of this UFO that is supposed to be hurling toward us and be arriving in November here, that is supposed to be hostile? Have you heard of that? Supposedly some Harvard, which that doesn't mean anything except that they've paid too much to get an education. But supposedly some Harvard grads, professors, and so on, and so the credentialed of Harvard has basically said, yeah, we better be looking into this. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I myself have done a deep dive and looked into this sort of thing. I'm more concerned about the animals in Wyoming than I am about an alien spaceship that's the Simpsons have predictive programming and telling us that we're going to be off the grid in November. So I don't have much thought of that, and I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are. It said supposedly there's been communication that indicates it is a hostile type situation.
So Jules is saying it's Professor Avi Loeb from he's the Israeli I think he's a physicist or
okay.
an
I see that.
astrophysicist
Yes.
at Harvard. So I don't know if he has access to the James Webb telescope, which is the telescope that we have that is furthest away from Earth now, the best after the Hubble. This is the best telescope, the best resolution, all that neat stuff. So I don't know if he has access to that imagery. I don't know how you would know that something is 3 months away unless you would know the speed that it's traveling at, so, but what Jules put out that said that's more important is how would we know that it's hostile? How would he know? Now, I also want to say that there was a time when it was suggested to me, because I'm aware of a lot of things that scuttlebutt in the UFO community. So at one point, people said to me, oh, DJ, there have been agreements between, let's say, U.S. presidents and intelligences that are not from Earth. And I was like, and one of them was Dwight David Eisenhower. And I'm like, BS. Nope, I don't believe it. So I didn't believe it. And then you become aware of information that I had to change my opinion about that. And essentially, if you guys want to find this material out there, it was a book called Way Above Black. And for Lady Zelda, she could probably finish this book on the toilet. It's 60 pages. Way Above Black by Staff Sergeant Dan Sherman, right? Yeah, she'd be like, yeah, on the bath toilet, I'm done with this book.
Okay,
So,
done.
Okay, there you go.
Done.
Yeah, it's okay, complete, right?
Done. Okay.
So I read this book. The person who gave it to me is someone that would know things and have certain pieces of information that I wouldn't have had without him. And so he said, yeah, I think you should read this book. And I was at a friend's house, so I didn't read it right away. And then it was a day or two later, I started to read it and was like, holy shit, it was one of those things. And so Dan Sherman, some of the documents that he showed, I also saw an interview. I found an amazing colleague of ours, a woman, I don't know her name. She did an interview with Dan Sherman that I thought was A++. And so I then could read the material. Then I could see and hear Dan Sherman, and I could say, does this guy sound legit, or does he sound full of what rhymes with legit but begins with an S? So I said, no, I find this guy to be legit. And he was trained at a certain base to be a communicator with another intelligence. And so the place that he worked was obviously very top secret. And he worked in a facility where there was only a couple of people that could work. So he had a classified job that people knew about, other people that were NSA types. And then he had another job that he had a handler for. And there was a very small group of people that were trained to be able to communicate. And he would go in a van, he would put on a set of headphones, and he would begin to receive messages, and he would write things down. So with that in mind, is it possible, all that information in mind, Way Above Black, Staff Sergeant Dan Sherman, it's available on Goodreads if you want to buy it for like $6. Is it possible that somebody is communicating with somebody and is aware that there, in fact, that maybe there are some hostile creatures? Sure. But would Avi Loeb know that? No, I don't think he would.
Yeah,
I don't think he would know that. So I
think sometimes
I don't put any stock in that personally. No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that it could be something to maybe distract us from, it's not like those things don't happen. But what I wanted to say is, I don't know if you've ever seen this. I bet you have. The Y-Files has a wonderful episode about, oh my gosh, that president. It went out of my mind. Eisenhower.
What era?
That had the contact with the alien that came to Earth?
Yeah, well, I think it was Eisenhower.
As Eisenhower.
Dwight Eisenhower. It happened out in like Edwards Air Force Base, I believe.
Yes. The Y-Files, they have probably one of the best presentations on that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's I didn't believe it, and now I have to entertain it. But there was something that I wanted to tell you, and I think it fell out of my brain. Okay, so just 2 weeks ago, and Bia's aware of this because I've talked to her about Ross Coulthart. Ross Coulthart is an Australian journalist who works for News Nation, which is a nonpartisan television and internet news station. And he has done some of the most seminal work in the last 3 years. He's been covering UFOs for longer than that, but he interviewed David Grush. Nobody had ever even heard of David Grush. I'd never heard of David Grush until Ross Coulthart rented a warehouse in Los Angeles where he could interview him in private. So, and David Grush revealed a lot of things like agreements with other intelligences. So now that said, well, maybe Dan Sherman is telling the truth, because David Grush, who briefed President Trump during his first administration, is that high level of intel official. If he's saying it is true and Dan Sherman said it's true, well, who am I to say that this is not true? Okay.
Right.
So Ross Coulthart said about 3 weeks ago now, what blew my mind was he tried And I'm going to tell you this because anybody can be BS'd. If you
Right.
introduce me, I mean, I've worked in government for many years. I could be BS'd by the right person easily. It just would take the right person that I would believe, okay? So Ross Coulthart came on air and told people, thank you. He says it's Holloman Air Force. Thank you, Jules.
Thank you,
Holloman,
Jules.
which is in New Mexico. Another desert Air Force base, not Edwards. So, well, there was a landing. There was definitely a landing at Holloman that apparently there was videos of, but that never made it out of there. Okay. So Ross Coulthart said that the Tic Tac encounter that is very famous, that the New York Times article in 2017, I believe it was December of 17, written by three great, Leslie Kane, Ralph Blumenthal, and another woman whose name escapes me, about an encounter between the Nimitz carrier group and its air wing commander and his wingman with a Tic Tac shaped craft that was making odd movements over the ocean, over a disturbed ocean, right over where this thing was making what you were talking about, three-dimensional sort of maneuvers, right angle turns, if you will. That was tracked on radar, on a very special radar, for about 6 days prior to that. It was tracked zooming up past 80,000 feet and then zooming straight back down to 50 feet. And at one point, they clocked it from 28,000 feet to 50 feet in 0.78 of a second, so less than a second. So what Ross Coulthart said that blew everybody's mind is that, oh, this craft was made by Lockheed Martin. And I am telling you that that is 100% bullshit. And I would bet my life on that, that not only isn't it Lockheed Martin, that there isn't a aircraft company on Earth that could create something that could do that. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. The reason I believe that is because not only did it do what I just told you, that it was zooming up and zooming down and they were tracking it, and it exhibited hypersonic speed. It also has no sign of propulsion. So when they're looking at it on infrared, there is no heat coming off it at all. And it has omnidirectional thrust. It can go left, right, up, down, but you don't see an engine. So there's none of that. But here's what really does it. And this is why I don't believe Lockheed Martin or any company could make this. When David Fravor, the Air Wing commander, he was in a Mexican standoff in a 360-degree circle. So imagine you're in like a hard right bank in your fighter jet, and as you're making a 360-degree turn, it is remaining 180 degrees from you. So you can't catch up to it. You can push the throttle forward, but if you go faster, it goes faster, right? So okay. So what he did was he banked even more to point the nose of his aircraft and see what it was going to do. And it disappeared from visual sight. So now, if you're telling me that Lockheed Martin or any company made this Tic Tac craft, then you're telling me that it could do like Star Trek and just disappear, like the Romulan cloaking device. For those of you who are my age and watch the original Star Trek, the Romulans, right? They would press a button in their craft and then all of a sudden it would just disappear, right? And I don't believe that exists, okay? I don't believe there's any company on Earth that could make it disappear. Now, there's different things we can fool radar. We have different ways to do that, right? We have craft that can do that. Other countries have craft that can fool radar, not just completely disappear. And that's what I interviewed David Fravor's wingman, a woman named Alex Dietrich, one of the worst interviews I've ever done in my life. But she did share with me, it disappeared. I said, do you mean it zoomed by your windscreen at hyperspeed? She said, it disappeared. Now, it reappeared at a certain point that the Navy designated as a cap point. And I don't remember how many seconds later, but it was 60 miles away. When it disappeared from visual sight, the Aegis cruiser that was tracking it, that directed them to go intercept this Tic Tac, it also disappeared from radar. So as soon as those guys couldn't see it, the Nimitz carrier group had an Aegis cruiser. I'm going to forget the name of it. And they said, we lost it, Skipper. And then all of a sudden he goes, hey, that thing just reappeared at your cap point. The distance between those 2 points is 17,000 miles an hour to go from that point to when it reappeared 60 miles away, or 59 miles away to be exact. So if you're telling me that Lockheed or any company on planet Earth can make a craft visually disappear, and they were tracking it on radar and then disappear from radar at the same time, I raise that bullshit flag. Does not exist.
I agree. I mean, one of my best friends, I'm going to say she is my best friend. Husband is a pilot for one of the big airliners. She sent me video and he took it out, and they were up thousands of feet, right?
Mhm.
And he took this video, and you can see, I've got it posted on my channel, but you can see this craft moving, darting around, and he said, we see that more often than not. It's like we
Yes.
almost have a what do I want to, an escort wherever we're going. We see that more often than not. But 100 years ago, my former husband was a commander in an XO on one of the big carriers out of a ship in Jacksonville, Florida. We lived there for a little while. He would come back and tell me that they would be out in the middle of the ocean and middle of nowhere. And these crafts would come down so close to the ship. And of course, he was just, our marriage ended because he didn't think it was right to be hanging around with a psychic wife who scared everybody else, the captain's wife. And, that's, it's kind of a big no because they're all, and I was an officer's wife, and it just didn't go down. And so it was very interesting, some of the things that he would come back and tell. And what another show, another time, but I was in the wardroom one time, and he came in and flops this file in front of me and says, here, you want something to read? Go ahead. And it was the redacted file of the Philadelphia experiment that he had. And I was like, and I couldn't take it anywhere. And of course, I didn't have a cell phone back then with a camera, and I couldn't have taken it anyway. But I was there for hours. Was it redacted? Yes. But you could pretty much pick out what had happened. That was really something. So do I believe that they try to manipulate a few things with, yes, they try, but they'll never, I don't see anything ever coming to that. But I wanted to ask you about that supposed craft that is coming. If I find it out, that articles again, I will send it over to you so you can figure out who. I just kind of let that stuff, because they're like, oh, they're coming to destroy humanity. Well, if they let us go long enough, we're doing a good job on our own. They don't have to come and finish it off. Hello, but I just kind of let it go, whatever. But I've got so many stories, but there's a story that I want to hear from you before we run out of time. If you have some time, how did the both of you meet and put your show together?
Oh, okay. I'll take this one, DJ.
Please do.
Huh?
Please do.
Okay. Okay. So going back to last fall, we both went to Turtle Boy's Halloween party fundraiser.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. So as you can imagine, everybody's in costume. Some people are mocking other, people from the other side. So I see, I had been there for a few minutes, and I see somebody walk in, and it looked like DJ. So I said, but I didn't think it was DJ because I knew wasn't from around here. So I walked by him. I said, hey, you look like the guy from Calling All Beings. And he goes, it's me. It's DJ. I'm the guy.
I love it.
So anyways, we got to talking. He was there by himself. I introduced him to all the local people, and him, Scott McGinnis, and I got into a good conversation. We were both all trying to talk at the same time. We were just like so excited to be talking about what was going on. in all our theories and conspiracy theories. And yeah, we had a great time. At that point, I had just become really good friends with Jen Root. And we had done a couple of YouTube shows spreading the word on Just on Root's case. And I said, hey, would you be interested in talking to Jen Root, this and that? And he welcomed us on Cab. And from there, we just kind of, we kind of hit it off. And I had a lot to say. I had been doing a deep dive on all the cases surrounding the Massachusetts State Police. So it was just a great topic of conversation. And, he knows me that I'm very much on the facts. And I, if I have to jump out and say, no, it was a 257, he knows that I'll do it because I'm that precise and the details matter. So we just, he welcomed me back and it just kind of became like a thing. So I'm officially the co-host.
Well, I love that because both of you just seem to meld together like you've been together for years and you're on the same mindset. And even though you may be opposite in some things, you have this wonderful ability to bring together and be on the same page and work through things. And I can tell, there's an old saying, what one doesn't think of, the other one does. But I kind of like to say one would lie and the other I'd swear to it. No, we're not going to say that. But anyway, I think that you guys are so good together. And I am so thrilled that you're here. And what I would love to do is I'm planning on moving to Tennessee one of these days. What I'm planning on doing is I'm not going to get a cabin in the woods. I can tell you that, but I will get, over. Yeah, that part's done. That is history, but I will get a cabin and I would like to invite both of you and your families, and maybe we can do a stream together and maybe we can talk about all these. Cause quite frankly, all the conspiracy theories that I had almost came true and I need some more. So, that's kind of how I'm looking at things, right? And so, but I think that would be, oh, look at that angel. Hello.
That's Hera.
Aw.
She hasn't been on the show in quite a while. Hi, Hera.
Aw, I just had Riley with me. He's like 23 pounds or something like that. Wow. It's like, woofy. So,
but what I will tell you, Lady Zelda, is that when we do get to talking UFO, even though that wasn't the original, topic of conversation for us, I'm willing to listen. And most of the time, tell me not, DJ, that you start telling me, like when you told me about Bigfoot and how, I point out things to you of why things could possibly be like, when she looks up, what was that? The lady, Bigfoot that you had me watch.
I had her watch the Patterson-Gimlin film from 1967. Where she
and then
the turn,
So I point to you regarding the, I said, because she noticed that there was a camera and there was probably a red dot. So even though this wasn't my original, I'm willing to listen. And there's, he brings me UFO stuff and I'm like, yes. And I'm always pointing out. And I think our minds just want to understand and solve everything. But I think what I've come to realize through meeting DJ is that, we don't always have the answers. We're never going to have the answers to everything, but you just have to be willing to listen and, understand the possibilities that maybe we aren't alone. And there's a reason why we're not meant to know everything, right? There's a mystery out there that we're not supposed to have the answers for. They're not just things we're meant to understand. And I think I'm willing to accept that and, find these stories very fascinating.
I agree with that. I believe that it's one of those things that the more you deep dive in, I went through this period where I saw the movie Signs and the birthday party scared the absolute shitar out of me.
Totally.
And I'm not kidding. I cannot watch that movie, even though I love Mel Gibson. I cannot watch that movie. And that birthday party, no. And I've always kind of was like this, but I have a paranormal friend. I mean, we all have paranormal friends. I've got a paranormal friend who is in Pennsylvania. He and his wife, they are absolutely wonderful. I love them to absolute pieces. And Chris, if you're watching this, I am going to tell your story because you gave me permission a long time ago and I'm going to do it anyway. So his wife was not feeling well and went to the doctor. And when she was little, she would keep waking up in the middle of the night and telling her mom and dad, look, somebody keeps coming into my room and somebody is taking me somewhere and they're giving me candy. They're giving me, and of course, you know what their parents are thinking. They're freaking out, right? And I mean, this was way back. And they're thinking, oh, no, we can't do this. So they started sitting at her door at night. Well, nothing was happening. So then they started relaxing on all that. And so she became very ill and they took her to the hospital. And they said, well, we don't know what's going on. So 2 days later, she came out of the bedroom and she said, wow, I'm feeling great. And like, what are you doing? I'm feeling great. They came to visit me and I'm feeling great. Well, of course, that scared them. Later on in years, and I mean, it's been probably about 5 or 6 years ago, something happened that she had to go to the doctor. And they said, do you know you're missing a kidney?
What?
And she said, no. And they got the hospital records of when she was young. They got all this other, she had a kidney when she was born. She had a kidney up until, through whatever, she had both kidneys. And then all of a sudden, before she got married, she started getting these visitations again. And they did this little MRI thing, this little whatever test. And they found a wee little thing that looked like almost an SD card in her back, and they saw a very minute, like laser whatever, and they put that was in. They took it out and they gave it to her, and to this day they don't know what it is. It looks like a little electronic thing.
Yes,
they don't know what it is.
Yeah,
and
Whitley Strieber tells the same story. He's not the only one. He's one of several I've heard about the electronic thing. And there's actually a video of him at the doctor's office, and it's in his ear. And you see the doctor go and try to grab it with a set of tweezers, and it moves. He showed it. I went to a symposium in New York City, then showed the video. Like, they had to numb up his ear because they were trying to cut into his ear to expose this. And Julie's saying they're implants. And then you see him try to grab it and it moves. And he's not the only one I've heard that story from.
Right.
In addition to your friend.
Right. And it's like, and they're like, we just don't know how to feel about this, because her memory obviously was wiped to a certain degree. She knew that she was, she was a little girl. All this stuff happened. She knew all that. And now she doesn't have a kidney. And so I don't know. My son is fascinated where we are right now. There is a golf course behind us. And it was when we first moved in here. There were some paranormal weird stuff. It was during the 2020 thing we can't mention. Oh. And there was just nobody around. Well, he came and got me one night and he said, Mom, there's something going on in the back, because there's a golf course behind us a few ways or a few feet. And then there's a field they have cows and a farm and everything else beyond that. And he said, Mom, there's something going on over there. And I said, well, what is it? And he goes, I don't know, there's something going on. I got up and looked, and you see this flat that was like glowing. This long, was huge, just like sitting there in the field. And I'm like, pardon everyone who is here. I went, oh my shit, I'm going to bed. I can't handle this. If they come in, well, we're going to ask them to do laundry and housework if they want to stay. But I can't handle this. If this is like the birthday party, I can't handle this. My son was fascinated. He stood there and watched, and he said, I said, when did it leave? And he said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? And he said, it was like I blinked and it wasn't there anymore. He said it was there and then it just wasn't there anymore. Oh my gosh. So, and then there was another time we were having this huge big storm come through, and we have the sirens here that are, and the golf course. And sometimes, hearing those sirens are worse than what you know what I mean? You hear those sirens come off and it's like, oh my gosh. Well, it was early in the morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, the sirens start going off. And there were these loud noises. And I'm going to tell you, I swear it was like War of the Worlds. Those kind of type noises. And my
raid sirens or
no, I don't know what it was. Okay. But I mean, we're not near any type of, the siren that's here, it is like a weather siren, like a warning siren type thing. And he went out, I mean, we're at the front door and he goes, Mom, we better get dressed. We just don't even know it. We better get dressed. Let's just get ready. We better get dressed. And it was beyond the other building. There's several buildings of the condos. Beyond the other buildings on top. Now, these are 3-story high. I'm on the bottom one. The top floor, and there's trees that bow over the top floor. You could see those trees parting. And my son's like, get in here. Get in here.
Well, yeah, I'm out.
I'm like, oh, pal, I'm done with this. And the sirens were going off. The wind was blowing. The weather was weird. I mean, hello, it could have been my imagination, but I don't like that type of imagination. I would prefer not to have it. And it just was like the weirdest thing. But I know that there's things around here. There's definitely.
What state are you in? Where? Because Georgia?
Georgia, yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're where I moved here from. Okay, that's right. I think you and I talked about that once.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
why I'm moving to Tennessee.
And I was in like the Marietta area. Were you near there, or you're North Georgia, Southern Georgia, closer to like Valdosta? Okay.
Sorry, no, we're Middle Georgia.
Middle Georgia. Okay.
Middle Georgia. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're like closer to where Lockheed was, because that's where I worked.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I have a guest. I'm going to try to get a guest for you. And what's interesting is the parallels between you. You were married to a Navy officer. She is currently married to an Army officer. You are considered kind of, okay, maybe you're too weird for the Officer Wives Club. She is also, because her name is Priscilla the Quantum Witch. Julie knows her, spelled W-Y-T-C-H, I think is what it is, White.
Nice.
Okay. Priscilla the Quantum Witch has had some amazing UFO experiences, paranormal experiences. She is a witch. And
how interesting.
She's into horror, right? She's doing vampire writing now. Like she's writing books about, she's real. Yeah, so I feel like
I have channels.
Are meant
I have panels that are vampire that I create for.
Okay, so you two are meant to meet. So
we're meant to meet.
I'm going to message Priscilla. I don't know if she's still stationed in Kansas now, but I'm going to message Priscilla and I'm going to send her the link to your show and
Wonderful.
Be like, you got to get together with Zelda because you guys are just going to have a ball.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be wonderful. What clinched the problem with the Navy officer is when we went to Salem, Massachusetts on kind of a little outing with the captain's wife and a few other officers' wives and everything else. And I'm in Salem going, oh, there's Lori Cabot's store. We've got to go into Lori Cabot's store. And they're all looking at me like, oh, what are you doing? And so I go, Lori Cabot, I don't know if you know her. She was the famous witch that is in Salem, Massachusetts. And now this was back in the 1980s. I was working for Dionne Warwick's Psychic Line at that time, Psychic Friends Network. And it was one of these things that he just didn't even want to talk about it. Everybody else was a teacher. They were, nurses and everything else. And, oh, there's my wife. What does she do? She works on the Psychic Line, and it was just kind of like this, whatever.
What's the bad news?
Yeah, really, hello, can we get any worse? And so, but I would be walking around, but I went into to this shop. It was kind of funny. I went into this shop because I was so mad at this whole thing. I wasn't having a good time at all because it was just so, and judgmental, petty, whatever. Yeah. And I realized I didn't fit in. So I go into this shop and he's looking at me like, don't you go in there? It's that, don't you go in there? Don't you go in that shop? Don't you? And I'm like, I'm not going to let them tell me what I'm going to do. So I stayed in there. And the moment that I walked in, she looked at me and said, oh my God, you're Zelda. And I said, yes, how are you? And she said, I recognize you from the commercials. I'm so glad you came. We just hit it off so well. And I said, listen, do you have any Eye of Newt? She started laughing. She said, I know what's going on. I'll give you dragon's blood, Eye of Newt. I'll give you all these things. I'll give you a rat tail. And she said, none of it. I said, I get it, but I just need to see a label on these things that say all that stuff. So I come out and these women were scared to death that I had been, whatever. And, and I showed them the packages, Eye of Newt, dragon's blood, rat tail, all these things. And they left. They left, he and my husband and I, they were like, that scared them so bad. They left and they just said, oh, no, sorry. We're out. And he was so angry with me until we went into the tea room. And he didn't want to be there, but he did it to please me. And the woman came up and she said, oh my God, Lori Cabot told me that you were in town. I've got to talk to you. And I'm like, oh my God, please, and she's like, oh no, I've got to talk to you. I want you to come. Now, this was in the 1980s. She says, I want you to come to work for me. If you don't live around here, that's okay. I've got an apartment that is up above here that is gorgeous. You can have it. I will pay you $78,000 a year. I need you to come and I want you to do tea leaf reading.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry about
I
that.
want you to do tea leaf reading. I want you to do all these things. And then, of course, he looked at me, which means that I would have been making more money than him as a U.S. Navy officer at that time. Hoorah, hoorah, right? So I said, well, this is something that I have to think about. Obviously, I have to speak to my husband. And he's looking at me and he said, you know what? Maybe I can get up here. Maybe we can, I could do something with the War College. I could do something with here. I could do something. And I'm thinking, Well, it never really worked out. And it was one of those things that I was so glad, because it's that pressure that, when that somebody, you're not right, even though I loved him and he loved me, I could not fit into his world the way that he wanted me to fit in. But that was the story of Salem. And of course I have other witch friends, acquaintances. I think it's fascinating. I think it's, I would love to speak to her. That would be wonderful if you could share that. I love that.
Yeah, what I did, I sent you on the DM that the three of us had. I sent to her Linktree, and I will message her tonight and just explain who you are, and I'm certain that she would want to collab with you and come on, and I would love to see the two of you just because it's really cool seeing birds of a feather, flock together. So it's kind of neat.
So do rats and mice. Right? Oh, sorry. Do you not know the rest of that? Birds of a feather. Oh, It's an
Yes.
old nursery rhyme from like the 1700s. Birds of a feather flock together, so do, oh, now I forgot. So do something, and rats and mice.
Where's
And
Julie
then
the
it's,
librarian? Come on,
yes,
Jules.
Julie,
Let's
let's
go.
go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I can't now, but there, it is a whole nursery rhyme like thing. Why would you tell that to your kids? Birds of a feather flock together, so do rats and mice. So do pigs and swine, I believe is what it is. Some do have an opinion, and so do I. Something like that is what it means. But I love that. It's so funny. But anyway, I love it. Now,
You know what I love about what you said about that story? My
what?
takeaway is that I'm
What?
so glad you were authentically you and didn't change or do anything differently and just followed your path. So I commend you for that.
Thank you. I
That's
mean,
all.
serious. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, got to give you credit for that because
Thank
you know
you.
what? At those times, you might have said, you know, you
Done.
didn't shrink down. You
I
kept being
couldn't shrink
authentically
down.
you.
His family hated me. His mother hated me, and for Christmas gave me men's cologne. You know, it's one of those things that you kind of sort of put up with it, and then one day you just
Had
don't.
enough. Yep.
You just don't. And I'll never forget. I took him to the ship in Virginia Beach, in Norfolk, Virginia, and said goodbye. It was May 12th, and that was it. That was the last time I saw him. He moved on, I moved on, and that was the end. But there's been times in my life where I've had to actually hide it and not, relationships don't do well. You can't go on and meet a man and basically say, "Hi, what do you do?" "Well, I'm a psychic." And because the first thing they say is, "Oh, can you tell what I did last night?" And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, if you have to ask that, you have no business even being, you know,
You should
people
say, I
have
know
this."
what you did last summer and do that. No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. And take the hook out,
that's right.
The fishing
You
is
should
very
have been
fun.
here last Saturday night. We had a troll come in the chat and say that Stevie Nicks had passed away, and it was during the Amy Bradley.
Oh,
I was
yes, I
using the
saw
spirit
that.
box, yeah, and all this other. It was so horrible. And the first thing the person says is, "Well, if you were a real psychic, you probably would have known that." I said, "I don't know that, but I can tell you this. I know you cheated on your taxes, and you better be careful." And that person left, and it was so funny. But that's how it's kind of been. That was awful. It was awful. But you know what? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Cheryl with an S. "And so will pigs and swine, rats and mice will have their choice, and so will I have mine." Bravo. That's what.
Thank you, Cheryl, with an S.
Yes, thank
That's
you,
it.
Cheryl.
Who
That's
got to
it.
meet at the meal
Birds,
of food, which
birds.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, birds of a feather flock together, and so will pigs and swine. That's it. I love it. So I cannot wait until we can get together and
Yeah.
have a meal of food. I don't know if you have to go.
I
you have to
do.
go?
I don't know about DOBB, but we're gonna try to do a meal of food in October 12th, the night of October 12th. That's our tentative. Give us some time to get it together. Another Massachusetts meal of food, and the name of the place is, I think I have the card right here.
Don't know if I can come, but if I will, the Irish brewing. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Irish Brewing,
Oh,
Boston
Irish
and Norwood.
Boston. I love it.
And just because they were so awesome last time.
Playing Patsy Finger in the holy water, are you? Okay, good.
Well, thank you, Zelda, man. You're such an
Thank
awesome
you. You are.
hostess.
Oh my gosh, this time went by so fast.
It
My dear
did.
Bea, if you want to hang around, we're going to hang around because everybody likes a few stories, and we'll tell some stories. But I have an outro. But everybody stick around. I want DJ to see the outro, and I want you to know, if you like the intro and the outros, I will gift those to you that you can use. And all you have to do is give me another little script, and I will work that script around, and you tell me what you want to say, and I'll put another voice with it, and I will send it to you. It's my gift to you, and it won't hurt my feelings. You can say, look, this is trash, I'm never going to do it, or you can play. It's up to you. It's my gift to you. But I'm going to play this little outro. Everyone, please hang around. This is just to say goodbye to DJ, and I'm going to still hang around. And my dear Bea, if you want to hang around, please feel free. All right, here we go. This is the outro, my darlings, for this beautiful, beautiful cab. Here we are. Let's see if I can play it. Here we are.
And just like that, they vanished into legend thanks to DJ and Boston B from Calling All Beings. Until the next shadow calls, this has been Seeing Crime with Lady Zelda Kelly. Ta-ta for now. Now I can have a spot of tea.
There you go.
That's
Love
awesome.
it.
That's
Good.
awesome. Yes.
Well, all you'd have to do, because obviously you don't want Seeing Crime and Lady Zelda in there, but you
It's
are,
all good.
I will
Okay.
gift it. Well, I will
Yes,
gift it to you.
Thank
And
you.
you can tell me if you want to change the script, we'll change the script, and I'll send it over to you, and you guys can load her up. And
That was awesome. No, that's
And
good.
that was
That's
so
good. That
cute.
we'd be honored to
good.
throw that into the mix. So
You
thank
never know. You never, obviously no obligation, but you never know if you want a little intro or something like that, because I made it for you. I won't use it again. And it's so, I just thought,
Well,
oh my God.
Wait, you could use it again when we come back.
Well, I will
Okay.
definitely, because I'll have it. I'll definitely have it when you all come back. But I thought today, I need to do a little something that's kind of like a cross between Scooby-Doo and
I love it.
Starship Enterprise and Roger Patterson. So there, you got the mind of Zelda. So let me know. And anyway, that's it, my darling. So just have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, DJ. Thank you so much for being here. The time went so fast, obviously. Much love to you.
Thank you for being
Keep in touch.
I will, and thank you for being such a welcoming, amazing hostess.
Oh,
You're
my
just
goodness.
the kindest person, and we can't wait to come back and also to have you over on the cab and talk more of
Love
the
that.
unexplained. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Good night, ladies. Have fun.
All right. Good night. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So it's just us girls now.
I know. Girl time. Yay.
Oh,
This
yes,
is the after
lady
party.
Night. Oh, it's a lady night. Oh, yes, a lady night. Wait a minute. Oh, what a night. There we go. There we go. I love this part of you. I have to say this. I love this part of you that is logical. Mrs. Spock logical. Maybe I just need to call you Mrs. Spock, because I love that part, because I'm kind of that in between. It's like, all right, it's going to take me a little bit to convince and wrap my arm and my mind around things.
Yep.
But I love that. I love that part. So I would like to know if you could share with us what got you into this, following the unsolved crime, the true crime, these types of things that need to be resolved and worked on. What got you into that?
So I have to say it definitely started with Karen Reed. Obviously, I live in Boston, and I used to be hooked on watching mainstream media. Like, I would wake up every morning and put the news on. I almost, as a background noise, it was just a habit for me. And as soon as I got out of work, I'd put on the news again. And, they would show clips of Karen Reed. I didn't really know initially, back when this all started, who Turtle Boy was, even though, like, my husband knew who he was from many, many stories he's done over the years. So I, nothing, I remember when the news was saying how 3 weeks later they were still finding taillight. Like, it was just like, something didn't feel right, but I didn't know enough about it. So, you know, you know how news is. They drill on one story, then you don't hear about it, and then all of a sudden the trial was starting. So that's how much, every so often you'd hear a little sprinkling of this and that, but nothing very informative, quick clips on what was happening, not really giving you the whole story. So the trial was coming up and I just became really interested and I was watching it, and just the minute with that, so I kind of in a sense went into it for trial one, just not really understanding everything. I didn't know the FBI angle. I didn't know about the TUI dump, 3,074 pages of exculpatory information. Didn't know any of that. And as I just watched the trial, I was like, a family member was also watching it, and I would just send him a text like, can you believe this? And he would be on, he'd be like, oh, court is on break, text me as soon as it comes back on. And I would send him a message, and I just was outraged. I'm like, how can this, and I heard about the standouts. I heard about all the people standing outside of court. I had never involved myself in anything. I never actually even, I knew that corruption existed, but I just couldn't believe that somebody would maliciously do something like this to an innocent woman, to a Boston cop, just everything. And so I was outraged, and I wasn't sure how to show my support. And I kept talking about it, but not all my family and friends were talking about it. So I was kind of stuck in this little bubble that who do I didn't have anybody to, except that one family member. But again, that was just a few texts back and forth. Whenever I'd see him at a family, I'd say, oh my God, can you believe this? And so one day I just went to a standout. And I made a little sign that says free Karen Reed, and I just showed up. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have something in common with each and every one of these people. I drove an hour to Dedham. And as soon as I got there, I met Jen Root. She tells me the story about her brother, instantly connected with her because I also had a brother that passed away at an early age, at 37. And, just her story just resonated with me. And she gave me, a little card that I held for the whole time. And I just couldn't believe, again, it was part of the same Massachusetts State Police who investigated her brother's case. So I'm not sure if you're caught up on the Just en Route case.
Not caught up on it, but okay. yeah, I'm familiar, but not into it.
Okay. So I definitely, that story just, and again, I made instant friends with her. And then I just stood there. I was interviewed by Christina Rex, Channel 4. I met Mr. Reed. I met Karen that day. I met her brother Nathan and her cousin Kelly. And that was literally my first standout. I met all these amazing people. I took pictures with all of them. And I remember when I talked to Karen, you look back and you're like, why did I say that? I sounded so stupid. So I'm like, I drove an hour to show my support is all I can get out of my mouth when I took a picture with Karen and talked to her. I was like, that's all that came out. And later on, I'm like, I could have said I'm praying for you, but I could have said so many things. But I did have a very lengthy conversation with her father, Mr. Reed. What an amazing soul. And I remember saying to him, I'm like, you're such an amazing father. And, I just admire you so much. And I remember him saying, you have a great father too. And I'm like, no, not really, but okay. So anyways, it was just, he was so amazing. And, I felt so good when I left there, and I wanted to continue to show my support. That couple of hours of standing outside in the sidewalk, holding the sign, and I felt so good, and I felt like I had done something good, something that was greater than myself. This was for a bigger purpose. And around those times, I was also thinking, Karen Reed could be any of us. She could be and that's exactly what I said to Christina Rex when she interviewed me. I had never been on TV before, not something I was planning on doing, but I was so sure of what I was saying that it just came out. And I'm not a public speaker. And that's something that I I don't even know how I was able to do that, but I just was so sure of myself.
Oh,
And I was able to get through that interview, and I felt good after. And then I showed up the week after, and I just kept going back because, the amount, the people, the passion, the cause was just so much bigger than anything that I could have imagined. And then I started meeting more people. Then I met DJ, and I never thought I'd ever be on
I
a
love
YouTube
it.
show. YouTube shows was what I watched during the day. So, it wasn't like I was planning on it, but I just felt so comfortable. And to me, this is more like a Zoom environment. You don't feel like all these people are watching you. So I'm not stuttering over my words or anything or getting nervous, because it just feels natural. The flow is
Right.
natural. We get to sit here and talk about things, not for 30 seconds, not to just give you one quick, snapshot. We get to digest it. And, you have views on it. I have views on it. And together we can just say, this is how I'm feeling about this subject.
Yes.
And that's why I try to focus on one thing at a time, because I want to give it my all. I want to be able to sit here and, without thinking or looking at notes, tell you why I feel a certain way about this or that in regards to the case, because it's it's important, and anything I can do to help spread the word. And I've been to Sandra Birchmore's, I've been to Enrique's, all the standouts. I've spoken at all of them. And again, not something I was intending on doing, but definitely something that when you're passionate about the topic, your fears just go off to the sides, because it's important, and our voices need to be heard. So I'm sorry for such a lengthy
Oh, please, no, no, no. We love
answer to that
hearing.
one question, but
No, no. We love hearing about it because, it is so important when you have such a belief, such a dedication. And the thing of it is, to me, if you have something, a talent in any way, even smiling at someone, you need to share that,
yes.
because I can't imagine you're talking about Karen and Dr. Reed, and I've just got to tell you, I don't know how she held up. I just,
I
years of the abuse, years of the torturous legal every day. It wasn't like something, it was like, I mean, I looked back at my readings. I have over 400 readings in 1 year. And it's
Wow.
like sometimes twice a day on the lives. And it's like, this is happening, this is happening. And it was just so astounding and crazy that you have to think, and now we've got Lolly who doesn't, not paying attention. Give her things back, Lolly,
Right.
forevermore. What,
Right.
you petty little thing, and I always say Lolly is like that primate walking in any room. It looks like a primate eating a banana, right? I mean, he just does to me. And it's this, I never really got into it until I really got into it and I started watching the court. And you're right, it is so hard to believe that our court system, our justice system can actually target someone that
Right.
they want to go away because they have a different agenda. That is a frightening thing. And I've always wondered what would have happened if Karen went in that house
I
and
know.
what would have happened. I mean, what would have happened if she didn't have the wherewithal or the attorneys? She'd be behind bars right now.
Right.
They,
Right.
nobody could have withstood that. And
No,
it,
her strength, I think she gets her strength. I mean, I think she has a lot of strength within, but the support of her family is just unbelievable. Those two parents were, for even if it was a 5-minute hearing, they were there. I mean, the
I love
support of
that.
her family is unbelievable. And, I mean, I'm sure that I mean, I like I've always said, I think she was meant for greater things because they didn't know they got the episode that they got the episode they wanted. Remember how
Right.
if she doesn't plead, this was going to be an episode. Well, they got it, and
That's
then
right.
some. She's uncovered so much. Just her case alone has uncovered the investigators because again, that's what ties these cases together. The MSP that investigated Karen Reed also investigated Sandra Birchmore just en route. So all these cases are
Brian Walsh.
connected.
No,
And
yeah,
Brian Walsh, correct. Yeah, that's another one that's, oof, I can't imagine.
right.
But, and that's what ties, because, even though, like, for instance, Jen Root's family knew something wasn't right with the information Proctor was putting out, with what had happened with her brother. But then when you piece it all together and find the root cause of all these cases, everything goes back to the MSP and Norfolk County DA's office and how interconnected they are. In her brother's case, within 30 days, they had already said, nope, the officers were justified, case closed. Well, you unalived an innocent man that was on the ground and didn't have
Right.
any weapons, was at no threat to anyone, who had just been rendered a off-duty paramedic was trying to render aid. They told her to back up so they could continue to shoot at him while he was on his back on the ground. If he was a threat, they could have apprehended him, but instead they unalived him. So yeah,
I know it's sickening. It's so sickening and horrible. And the biggest thing is that Massachusetts has garnered our attention
absolutely
so much more but look at all the other cases that have similar, Richard Allen. There's a case that I've uncovered now. It is of a young boy who's 19 years old, who is, I believe, in Arkansas. Not sure. I'm digging into that one. I just found it last night. And you kind of wonder what happens to these people that are in this authority, that they cross that line. There are many that don't.
right.
But what happens to these people? Is it the authority? Is it the power? Is it something that they just feel that, do they have side agreements? I have to sit and wonder what all that is. And it's like, now, and the funny enough, now when I started in the court arena, because I've looked into hundreds of cases and I've semi-retired, like 98% retired from doing tarot profiling and all of that other. But back in the 1980s, I was really heavy in it. I named the Gainesville, Florida, when they had the college unalivings. I helped gave a name to the guy who was doing it. They found him. He's, whatever. And then I ran into the case of Jason Wetterling. I don't know. It was a young boy. I'll let all of you look into that case. That was heartbreaking. That case made me say, you know what? I don't want to do the child cases anymore.
Right.
It's bad enough. And I'm just so sorry to say that. I can't put my emotion to the side.
Right.
And not get emotionally involved. So it's been, and those are the days that I didn't have the internet. I didn't have cell phones. I had to rely on the real, didn't have the spirit boxes like we do now. Funny enough, I carried around a Fisher Price cassette player with a cassette and would record things that are, and believe me, you get more on those little cassette recordings than you would really think.
Right.
And it's like, you come into this time, and believe me, even back then, we were running into some law enforcement, not all, many of them are not like that, and it disgusts them. But you run into these law enforcement that you think, what do they have in this? What
Right.
do they have something that, do they not care? Do they just want to get this solved and get on? But I'm going to be interested now in August. August is going to be an awesome month
Yes.
because, we are in Mercury retrograde right now. Mercury retrograde brings things to the surface and it makes you aware of things. It slows you down, it slows your thinking down, but it brings things that normally wouldn't come to the surface. And we're seeing a lot of that in these cases with Lolly, with Turtle Boy's case, with all of these different things. This is going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see Lolly get on the stand.
I
And I'm
know
going
it's
to tell you, I cannot wait. And I'm hoping that Hank Brennan will have to show up. I'm sure he will for depositions for whatever Karen is about to do. Because I know that once she gets this, her property back, you can almost, oh, it's almost time. It's almost time. And believe me, there's a plan there and you can see it. Boy. But you mentioned Dr. Reed, her father, Mr. Reed, William Reed.
hmm
I would love to talk to him one time because he is such a history buff.
Yes.
History in that area, I would love. He had mentioned something about Paul Revere, and it was on X. And I don't know what it is. It was an analogy that he had of Paul Revere. And I went on there and I said, I love this, but I want to know what happened to Brown Betty. And he wrote back and he said, that is the $1,000,000 question. And I always thought, oh, what I love to talk to him about, because you know who Brown Betty is, don't you?
I actually don't.
That's Paul Revere's horse. That was the horse of Paul
Okay.
Revere. He went in and chose the horse. He basically, the story was that the horse chose him. He chose the horse. And back then it was a 25-mile ride that he had to make.
Yeah.
And riding a horse for 25 miles at not full out speed, but at a very quick speed, there had to be some endurance there. And of course, he was stopped by the British on the road, and they took her, and nobody. And I just thought, you kind of wonder. Nobody thinks about that except me, probably. Whatever happened to Brown Betty? I love to know what happened. I'm sure they treated her right. I'm sure she just joined the brigade of the British and did her little job, and you know that was it. So, but
Wow.
anyway, I would love to speak to Mr. Reed. I hope one day I am blessed to be in his presence. I hope so. You
Yeah.
just never know. You
You
just
just
never
never
know how
know.
things can bring you about to be around, and I love it. I love it.
And ever since that day that I met her family, it was just so inspiring, and just the love they have for each other is just it just shines. They didn't have to show up to these standouts, but they just wanted to, give back and say thank you to all the supporters. And they've always been so grateful to everyone who has supported their daughter, and just, and obviously it shows. Um, what a great, what a great family she has.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's talk about endurance.
hmm
And the thing of it is, they're not young, and I
No.
was always concerned. The stress of these sort of things is just immense. But I wonder. I have to ask you: have you heard anything about Jen? Has she been going out for any blowouts? Has she been going tanning? She's a talker. You just
She is
don't know. She's
okay.
a talker.
No, I think the last the just since that wedding picture, we really haven't heard anything about her in these neck of the woods.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
definitely. Yeah, no, I think they've been laying low. Um, yeah, I really they've kind
That's amazing.
of summer tan.
Huh. Are you there, darling? You're kind of going out on us.
I am? Oh, can you
Yeah.
hear
Oh,
me?
there you go. You were lagging. You were lagging a
Oh, I'm
little bit.
sorry.
Oh no, you're
Um,
fine. You're fine. I thought maybe it was one of my cats that walked around, but you're good now. You're good
okay.
now.
I said maybe she's working on her summer tan.
You never know. But
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny because I know that she had a coach.
Oh,
She had a coach. You don't have to be psychic to know she had a coach. That is why every picture, she's wearing blue,
yeah.
because they tell you in any type of legal proceeding or anything, blue is the most believable color that you can wear.
And when you don't have the truth on your side, I guess you have the color.
That's right. When you gotta do the best you can to figure it out. You know, I don't
Mm.
know. There's some weird things around there. There's some weird things. So I don't know, my darling. I think we're going to see all this ramp up again, but in a different way. Someone asked me today, do you think we'll ever, oops, sissy, no. Someone asked me today if I ever thought that if John O'Keefe would receive justice. I do believe that he will, but not in the way we think. I believe that he will receive justice. There's going to be justice for John. And I do believe it's going to come out in a different way. And it may be all these filings, it may be all these things that are coming from Turtle Boy's case, Aiden's case.
Mm-hmm.
It could be because there's a lot that hasn't been uncovered yet. And it would not surprise me if the judge threw his cases out, because who wants to out the DA's office and basically say, what the heck, and now we've got all that mess where what's her name?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
KP.
yeah. Who's saying that now she's going to out Meatball Morrissey because he's not
Yeah.
coming to her. What
Yeah, there was a hearing this afternoon that her attorney was late to, and they just pushed it off till August 29th.
August 29th. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're right. So we're starting this Friday with a Walsh hearing. That one's going to be on Zoom, so not in person.
Okay.
And, then we have the 5th, we have the continuation with Lolly. And then we have on the 13th, we have Turtle Boy. So it's definitely, I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot happening in August. And, you just when you think, okay, she was acquitted, everything's done, it's like, no, we're just
Oh no,
scratching the surface.
just getting started. We've got probably another 2 years with
Yep.
all depositions and hearings and whatever else that can come about. But the good thing for us planetarily. August 11th is when Mercury goes direct again. And right before it goes direct, it's kind of like that. Oh, let me just let me give it to you on the chin, just a little bit before we go. And then there's this shadow period. It's like the hangover that we never knew we had. And watch as we approach, as we get into August and start approaching, because we started in the sign of Leo, we're ending up in the sign of Virgo. And it's really going to ground a lot of things. It's going to bring things to the surface, but it's going to make us all stop and think, what the heck? Why is this even happening? Something needs to be done. And that's going to be very, very interesting. So I'm going to say leading up to the 11th is going to be this woofy thing. And then as soon as the 11th happens, it's the hangover Mercury period. And then we're all gonna see it start. It's starting to unravel now. I think there's panic on that side of the aisle. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I was like, what did I do?
no, it's storming here. It's storming here. You look great. You can take over there, my
Yes,
darling.
I got you, girl.
You got me. Go on. You go on. But the funny thing is, you watch and see what happens, because August is going to be, it's going to be a month. I can't wait.
Right.
I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing for that kind of thing to come out. In our personal lives, it gives us a chance to sit back and kind of think about what it is that we're doing and what do we want to do, and planning, and I know you're probably a planner. You
I
are a
am.
planner, aren't you?
Yes.
And yeah, what sign are you, my darling? What sign?
Capricorn.
Oh my goodness, you're a Cappy. Okay. I love it because my son is a Capricorn. Mrs. Marie, who is True Oracle, we are simultaneously with them as well tonight. I'm sorry, I didn't even get there to the now. I was so excited. I just wanted to get into it. And she is a Capricorn. Capricorns, I attract Capricorns, and I love it because the two things
Oh.
about Capricorns that you can always bank on, for those of you in the chat that don't know Capricorns, and I'm not an astrologist, but I think sometimes it helps to know things. Capricorns detest people. Uh-oh, here comes another cat, and she doesn't like this one. Capricorns detest people who hurt others just because they can. And Capricorns expect you to do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say and say what you'll do and then do it. And when a Capricorn gets fixed on something, they're fixed on something until the next thing comes along. Focused, fixed.
Guilty.
Sometimes chained to a particular thing, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. You make a lot of us that wish that we were so organized, be more organized. So I love that. I love that. So anyway, my darling, I think we're about to come to the end of our evening.
Yes.
I'm so happy that you came on tonight, you and DJ. It's just, I've been so excited, and I have been planning, and the time always goes so fast.
It does. And it just feels so natural. That's the thing. It just, there's no effort. There's no preparation needed. And for me, being a Capricorn, preparation's important. But I have to say, I have the greatest time with you, and it feels natural, like just us girls chatting. And definitely, you know, I do appreciate the warm welcome with the effort that you put into the intro and outro. That's amazing. And that is beautiful, beautiful. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to send that over to the little chat. I'll send you the clips, and you can use them. And I can put a different script with it. So all you have to do is let me know. But and of course I'll keep it because you're going to be coming back. So we'll be using it when we come back, when you come back and all that. But I just adore this. And usually I prep. Like when I had Laura Alessi on here, I prepped. Here's the questions, here's what we need to do, here's what I need, but with both of you, it's like, well, I'm a talker, and it's like I have to just hear it all. Just hear it all. I just want to let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's go. Right. So this is wonderful. We've got some wonderful guests that are lined up. You are always top of the list, top shelf. I tell everybody, top shelf. Anytime you want to come back, anytime you see that I'm live and you want to just jump in, just send me a little note. You're in. We love you, and it's all good. So for all of you, my darlings, please say good night to Miss Bea, and I'm then going to say good night to you, and then I'm going to play the outro again, so you can all see that, because I just think that is something that I love to pay homage to them, because they deserve all the accolades. They do a lot of hard work, and I think this is wonderful. So please go on over, follow their channel, Calling All Beings, like, subscribe, do all those to-be things that all of us like to have done. And I want to thank you again, my darling.
Yes. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. And again, effortless. So
yes, it is.
Appreciate it.
Well, we will meet someday. I know that.
I can't wait.
I can't either. We're just going to have such a good time. I promise it won't be out in the woods. but it'll be good.
Love it.
Good. You be well,
All
my
right.
darling.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. My darlings, was that not wonderful? I think I cut her off too short, and I'm sorry about that if you're watching. I love this. I love it when they are on. I love it. Look at this background. Does this just not crack you up? And it's because I love the energy that DJ and Bia bring to us, all of us, the channel, everyone, everything. They are, I'm going to say, the most welcoming, kindest people that I have met in this YouTube industry. I don't have a big channel, as you know. We're growing, and that's important. But sometimes it's not about the big channel. It's not about having the numbers. It's about having the quality, not the quantity. That's what I love about this. And I'm just always so happy. But just know, for all of you, that for my guests, when they come on, I make a special. If you didn't see Laura Alessi's, that was really special. But for my guests that come on, I love to make a very special little intro and outro to just bless them for coming on my show, because I just appreciate them so much. So thank you to each and every one of you for loving the stories, being here, hearing all this. And I've got stories. Maybe one of these days we'll have to do some more stories again. But please do me a favor, before you go on out, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let's push it out there. Go over to Calling On Beings, go over to True Oracle, and I'm going to be streaming here live 7 p.m. Saturday night. We're going to do some more EVPs, and you don't want to miss it. We might even get out a little spirit box, so you don't want to miss that. So we've got more coming. There's more. So I want to give all of you the blessings for July. Tomorrow's the last day of July going out. Then we're welcoming August. Can you believe it? August, whatever. So be safe, be wonderful, be kind, and be well fed. Get your snacks, my darlings, because all is good. Big hugs to each and every one of you. Hang out for the outro. Hello, what are we doing tonight? The outro. And I'm going to see you all very, very soon. Here's the outro, my darlings. I appreciate it so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.
And just like that, they vanished into legend thanks to DJ and Boston B from Calling All Beings. Until the next shadow calls, this has been Seeing Crime with Lady Zelda Kelly. Ta-ta for now. Now I can have a spot of tea.